My God. Elon Musk, Donald Trump throwing nuclear bombs at each other. This is getting very spicy very quickly as we break down the big, beautiful bill. What in it is amazing? What in it is terrible? Is Elon right? Is Trump right? And did Elon go way, way too far by insinuating that Trump is on the Epstein list? Which, by the way, I can tell you for a fact that is not true. It is true, however, that multiple donors to Donald Trump are, in fact, on the Epstein list. That is the real reason why they cannot release it. But Elon Musk dropping a massive bomb like that, it's super disappointing, disheartening, because it does really mean a lot of negative things. We're going to get into all of that today on the massive show. We can do it all. We can cover it all today on Untamed.
Take two. Cut.
Take two.
I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Right, follow me with this.
But they've been using their power to obstruct and stop justice from taking place.
You want to pray us out?
I do.
We'll pray for Tina. And let's have conversations about what truth is.
What a crazy day. Now you got to get your popcorn out for this episode because this is a battle of the giants, two mega personalities who clearly have had more of a falling out in private than we're even told in public. When Elon's willing to go that far and tweet that, what he's doing is he's sacrificing all of the contracts that he's capable of potentially getting with NASA through SpaceX. Some of them will still go through, common sense. He's sacrificing so much that Elon right now wants and is pushing for, some of it good, some of it bad. So there has to be a serious rift. Unless, of course, what if it's all just for show? That's one of the theories that's going around. We're going to break it all down right now. What do you think, Apollo? What's going on here? Have you been just eating popcorn all day watching this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's not enough popcorn for me right now. Listen, I want everyone to just remember what has gone on over the last couple of years. So I'm going to try and just explain this. I'll come on camera. Give me a second. But where is it? There we go. So let's remember, because it's funny to see the news parrot what's going on and make all kinds of stories about this. So we had just a few months ago, we had them fighting, right? Then all of a sudden, Elon comes out and endorses Trump. And then we have everyone freaking out that Elon is running the government and no one elected Elon, right? You remember that, Matt?
I do very much remember that.
Yeah, do you remember everyone was like, oh my God, Elon's taking over the world. He's taking control of Trump. And then we had everyone complaining about the Teslas, and they've been burning the Teslas, right? Very, very, very interesting shifts, especially for the left, who like to claim that they care about anything or people, right? And then we have now the big, beautiful bill, and everyone's all happy. And then Elon leaves as his role, supposedly, as a special government entity, right?
Yep, and it lasted for a certain amount of time because technically he wasn't approved by the Senate. So he can't serve as a large role in the government for more than about 3 months.
It's 130 days. That's just the law for SGEs. It's 130 days. They're only allowed 130 days out of 365 days during the year, period. End of stop. So he was just doing what is in the law. So he's like, cool, 130 days, I'm out, because that's the limit for the year. And then everyone was like, look, what's going on? Elon's leaving, right? And then we have this now, big, beautiful bill. Oh my God, thank you, Elon. Thank you, Mr. President, right? And now all of a sudden they're beefing. And now he's throwing Epstein stuff. How many times have we heard that Trump's on the Epstein list, Matt?
Over and over.
Let me just put this out. Does anybody remember what happened when they were talking about Trump's tax returns?
they were saying that he was hiding it because he was on the Epstein list.
Okay. Well, they were demanding the release of the tax returns, right?
Right.
They're like, we got to get these taxes. We got to get them, right? Because we've had all these problems now with the Epstein files. So right now, I think this is hilarious because now we've had everyone who's like, anti-Elon because they're pro-Trump because he's working with the government. The biggest, he just goes in there, uses AI. They identify all this fraud. He's clearly read in DOD. And then all of a sudden now they have a breakup. So now all the people who are pushing narratives like, look, Elon rules Trump. Well, now they can't roll that anymore, right? And and now what are they going to start doing? Because everyone's pissed off. Where are the Epstein files? What are they going to do? Now you're going to see the leftists. You're going to see all these people who have been pushing all this bullshit. They're going to be like, we need to release the Epstein files now. Watch me, dude. Watch. They literally are just screwing with everybody. My opinion. This is beautiful. This is the best thing I've ever seen so far this year.
Yeah, and a lot of people are worried, is this going to hurt in the midterms? Is this going to hurt in 2028? The answer is no. Nobody's going to care about this in a year. This is super big drama for now, and it does matter a little bit. But at the end of the day, you're right, Apollo. All this is going to do is just be a massive psyop and cause liberals to now start advocating for things that are against what they would really actually have in their best interest, like the Epstein files being released, which is hilarious. So let's break down, though, what is in this bill. Because this bill does have a lot of positive things as well. We've been very negative about it on the show. There are positive things, and I'm tweeting out, by the way, a link right now to the live stream on X. So if you want to retweet that, it just says live now, covering the massive fight between Elon and Trump. Maybe I can say live now on Rumble. Give Rumble a little bit of a shout out for letting us freely speak on here, which is always a nice thing. As if you look through the bill, so there's a few things that I specifically took from it that I think are really positive. So one of them, the child tax credit being raised to $2,500, 1.6 trillion in spending cuts, which, by the way, some of it unable to truly come to fruition if you look at how it's structured. Still a positive thing. Work requirement, if you're a part of welfare, if you're able-bodied, deporting 1 million illegals a year, that's way too small. Still really good. Builds the wall, finishes it 701 miles. That is really good because it is permanent and it can't be undone by a future administration unless they want to tear it down, which would be very unlikely and very expensive. Not going to happen. 10,000 new ICE agents, should be more than that. Still a good thing, though. Eliminates Medicaid for illegal aliens. How is that even a thing in the first place? Very good. Trump savings accounts for kids, not a terrible idea. A little bit hard to fund. I like it overall, though. Encouraging people to have more kids is always a good, positive thing. When the birth rate's 1.4, it's tiny. It should be over 2. It's 1.4. We're losing population way too fast. Slashes IRS funding. This is also very good. No more 87,000 new agents, even though they're going to just use Palantir and AI to still be able to track it all anyway. So as nice as that is, does it really do much? I don't know. Is it going to be expensive because it will lead to less tax revenue? Potentially worth it, though. Still a good thing. Estate tax protections expanded. Family farms and businesses stay in the family. I like that one. Repeals DEI mandates. Bans taxpayer-funded gender ideology in federal agencies. About time. Some of these are small social wins. Some of them are big. Some of them affect the debt in a negative way. Some of them affect it in a positive way. National Missile Defense Golden Dome. I think that's kind of stupid, to be honest. I mean, it sounds cool. Okay, why not? If Israel, we're going to pay for them to have one. We might as well have one. Probably will never use it, though, but still cool. HSA accounts expanded. And maybe we can use it for some smaller things like balloons or whatever, but HSA accounts expanded. Use them for direct primary care. School choice tax credits. Feds barred from mandating pronoun usage, which is pretty funny. Medicaid book grants to states, local control, revives apprenticeship programs, 1% exports under the U.S. flag, mandates ID for federal elections. That's probably the most important one in the entire thing. If Joe Altman was sitting here right now, which again, he's in court all day today, screw them for making him do that. I hate them. I'm going to post an article on my X soon that will go into detail about who's funding this case against Joe and Mike Lindell. Really bad stuff there. And the list goes on. I mean, why don't we take a break here, because we kind of have to get into the Elon-Trump battle. There's 20 more things I'm going to read on this list of positive things that are in the Trump bill. But before we get into that, we have to talk about this battle because it is getting insane. So take a look at this. Elon is now retweeting Trump's old tweets. And also, we have this clip here of Elon Musk on the bill explaining his thoughts on it. And not a lot of people have seen this. It's important to understand this context as we get into the massive battle. Go ahead and play A1.
I mean, frankly, I can't believe I'm here doing this. It's kind of bizarre. But I kind of think that we've got this enormous federal budget deficit, and it's a $2 trillion deficit. It keeps growing. Our interest payments are higher than our Defense Department budget. That's I think was the real wake-up call for me, was looking at seeing that the interest payments on national debt exceeded the Defense Department budget. And that was only growing over time, which meant if we didn't do something about this, then there won't be any money for anything. We'll just be servicing debt.
And you know how to read an income statement, and you know how to read a balance sheet. You've had some business experience. I'm kidding, but
yeah,
you know about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just don't want America to go bankrupt.
So it's a call to action. You're hearing a call to action.
Yeah.
You giving up your other stuff? I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty. Yeah, I mean.
But there's no turning back, you're saying?
I'm just here trying to make government more efficient, eliminate waste and fraud, and so far we're making good progress.
Nothing he said there is necessarily wrong, but it is wrong to pretend like Trump is on the Epstein client list. To say that and then to put underneath, that's what he's insinuating. He says he's in the files, which is technically true. He is in the files, but he never, and I can assure you of this as someone who has seen multiple documents that have not been released yet, including I've seen the binder, which everyone saw that was released, which was mostly fake stuff that was redacted, which did include Trump's name in it, by the way, but did not include him as a client. That's important to keep in mind. Trump is not a client of Epstein, never has been. And so to insinuate that is wrong of Elon. And it's actually a step that makes Elon look worse in this fight than Trump did. Initially, a lot of people were on Elon's side. Okay, yeah, we want to get the debt down. But when you say that, you're going to step too far, in my opinion. Now, it's still entertaining and funny. So there's Elon Musk. Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump's in the Epstein list. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. Absolute bomb drop right there. Apollo, do you believe Epstein and Trump had more of a connection than just an occasional meeting friendship? Do you think Trump was participating in that? Is that going to come out? Is Elon right? Is he telling the truth here? Does he know something that we don't? Or is this just Elon posturing and attacking Trump back after what he did?
I mean, I think it's all posturing. I think it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, Donald Trump's name probably is in the Epstein files. He's not a client though, like you said. So again, this is going to be, I think, a huge fracture, and you're going to see a lot of people pivot. I mean, honestly, think about this. So, are the leftists, are they going to apologize for burning all the Teslas now? Like, is it going to be trendy to buy Teslas again because now everyone's going to support Elon because Trump took away his EV credits? I mean, you're going to see some weird parroting now, I think. And like this bill is, I think, in and of itself, a big piece of a distraction. But you've seen now people call themselves out for not reading bills. They don't know what's going on. You have a legitimate conversation going on with, large bills that passed the last minute with 1,000 pages that no one has time to read. You have all these like very, very critical issues that keep getting, thrown around on partisan lines. You have like Eric Swalwell berating people because they voted for the bill, Mr. Fang Fang Bang Bang spy, coochie monger. Like, are you kidding me? you have legitimate conversations now happening because they're doing this. And I mean, truthfully, I'm just waiting for them to call for the release of the Epstein files and then like beg for, the evidence that wraps up all their cronies publicly in order to get Trump. I mean, the left-right divide is about to get so, washed against each other. So I hope they continue feuding, truthfully. I hope they continue doing this. And I hope that it causes people to actually dig in and read the bill that no one really read, and that all of the media pundits just started saying, this is bad because the deficit, or this is good because some other little thing about suppressors or one little piece of it. And they don't look at it as a whole. Meanwhile, if we actually get into the bill, we can talk all about like the massive deficit and X, Y, and Z, but there's entire sections there that are just, to my eyes, big number amounts, but they're repairing military readiness specifically for what appears to me to be a conflict with China, because it's all targeted on Indo-Pacific Command. There's like a couple pieces in there for funding for AFRICOM, but I mean, it's all like naval warships and, drone warfare and readiness and logistics for the Indo-Pacific Command, which is all like Russia, China, all the way down like through the Indian Ocean, this entire side of the United States. And I mean, we already know we're basically at war with China anyways. So I think it's really funny to start forcing people to have a conversation about what actual budget questions should be like and procedures for bills, and then see how they're going to pivot now. Again, I mean, this is the same thing. It's extremely entertaining. I don't know. Are you entertained, Matt?
I'm very entertained. It's like watching Mike Tyson versus Muhammad Ali in their prime is a good metaphor. It's like watching Brady versus Mahomes in their primes, which I guess we did get to see Brady beat Mahomes a couple times. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing from an entertainment perspective. The consequences, I don't think, will be as great as some people may be concerned about. It's just two heavyweights that are slugging it out, and hopefully at the end of it, they'll come back together. We'll find out that Trump will say, we were just posturing. We were trying to get the big, beautiful bill to be even bigger, even more beautiful. And so we had to pretend like we were hating each other. But now we actually love each other. The bromance is back on. I would be funding everything. But we're going to do it in a way that does not increase the budget deficit. I feel like with my Trump impression, it starts out good and gets worse as I go along. But I'm working on it. I'm going to get one day you'll hear me do my Trump impression and you'll be like, is that Trump? Is that Trump or Matt? You won't be able to tell. It'll be indistinguishable. But here's Trump pushing back. Let's go ahead and play A2. This is Trump pushing back on Elon and Elon's opinions regarding this bill.
So we've done a great job. Elon knew that. Elon endorsed me very strongly. He actually went up and campaigned for me. I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily anyway, even if the governor ran, the real governor, not the governor from Minnesota, he's a sick puppy, that guy. That poor guy, I feel sorry for him. But they made a bad choice with him. But if you pick Shapiro or anybody else, I spoke to him recently about his house being set on fire, which was terrible. But if they picked him, I would have won Pennsylvania. I won it by a lot. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars, and it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have we want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different, and I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody, and he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape, he said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Mr. President, did he? I just want to clarify. Did he raise any of these concerns with you privately before he raised them publicly? And this is the guy you put in charge of cutting spending. Should people not take him seriously about spending now? Are you saying this is all sour grapes?
No, he worked hard and he did a good job. And I'll be honest, I think he misses the place. I think he got out there and all of a sudden he wasn't in this beautiful Oval Office, and he's got nice offices too. But there's something about this one. I was telling the Chancellor, this is where it is. People come in here, even from Germany. They come in and they walk into the Oval Office, and it's just a special place. It's, you know, World War I, it started and it ended here, and World War II, and so many other things. Everything big comes right from this beautiful space. It's now much more beautiful than it was 6 months ago. A lot of good things are happening in this room. And I'll tell you, he's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly. And some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. But we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone. The whole world is different and they become hostile. I don't know what it is. Someday you'll write a book about it and you'll let us know. Yeah.
Mr. President, speaking of ending.
It's about to get worse, by the way. That was before the Epstein tweet. That was before they decided going 24 all out, attacking each other. And Trump is firing back too, by the way. So is Kayleigh McEnany, the press secretary. This is getting very spicy to a level that actually could start causing some damage. Now, it's fun, but at some point we do have to start looking at, okay, well, we still do need a lot of deportations to happen. We still do need budget cuts to happen. We still do need to be careful and not continue going trillions of dollars into debt every single year. We still have to get all these things done at some point. When is it going to happen? When do we finally get to see that happen? Do you have a side, Apollo? Whose side? Do you have a side that you're more on? Or is it just the type of thing where we just sit back and there's no side? It's just entertainment. It's craziness. No one's really right. Everyone's wrong. It's just an example of how messed up and crazy our politics are these days.
Yeah, I'm on the side of the American people. But I'll tell you what, I trust our president. So, I mean, I can just leave it at that if I really wanted to. Again, like, how are we going to see the pivots? That's really what I'm going to be watching. Because now what do we have? We're going to have people like buying Teslas again after organizing against the AI overlord. And now you're going to have, conservative influencers and people who feel betrayed by Trump. And now they're going to be like speaking publicly in lockstep with all the liberals who just can't stand this administration and all these idiots. They're going to say, yeah, we need to release the Epstein files. Yeah, this to me is like world stage political theater of the highest order. But I trust President Trump. And I think that there are much more complicated things going on with this bill. I think this bill was done strategically. And again, we should have real conversations about, the fact that they routinely do this kind of stuff where they slip in all these, funding measures into these bills at the last moment. You have people who have been talking about, funding and huge deficit spending and all kinds of other things. And now people are choosing sides. These are real conversations that really should be happening. Again, we have to keep in mind that we are at war, like not going to at, and very likely will be seeing some clear signs of open war, if not declarations. I mean, how do you restore a military that gave away hundreds of billions of dollars of equipment and resources to Ukraine and, other governments under the guise of helping them with their war, while we're supposed to suffer and lower all of our defenses? We have technology, flight systems, radar, all kinds of things that have been infiltrated by the CCP. They've done a horrible job there. You have the Chinese on the northern border. There's huge pieces of that in this bill talking about, border security, things like that, things that I'm definitely in support of. So we can argue about some of these things. But I mean, truthfully, I think this just shows how quickly people will flip and choose a side rather errantly just because, they see something being signaled. I mean, you're going to see now what? Flips on Trump, flips on Elon, X, Y, and Z. This just shows that people, I think, struggle to think for themselves and see the bigger picture. When we have a nation that's at war, we have Indo-Pacific Command specifically that got decimated after Obama had his big firing spree of all kinds of military officials. And you had the supposed whistleblower going on where you had people who were very concerned about what Obama was doing under his administration, and he cleaned out a bunch of officials and brought in all of these people who had no actual military experience in combat or anything related to it. And they brought them in as basically like political civilian advisors and put them into these positions. And what do you have? You have now DEI types of practices and people who are essentially communist trained individuals in very key positions in our military command structure. I mean, you want to protect the nation and be able to stop an actual war and have a nation that, can stand when we have issues like we see now Donald Trump being very open about his conversations with Putin, with Xi Jinping. I mean, these are very real problems. And we have alliances between Iran and China and Russia, things like that with BRICS. I mean, this is not like a trivial matter. So again, how do you restore a country to military readiness and, and preparedness and fix massive, like glaring failures and inadequacies in our technology and our communication systems and national security, without giving some of these people in the intelligence community who are going to use it and along with their pundits in the media to say that the Trump administration is evil and Elon is ruling the world with AI, which, we should probably have a AI conversation without just giving them the ability to portray to the public that everything is screwed up so that you can then cause division, make people feel hopeless, and give them the excuse to tune out and let them run the narrative like they've been doing for the last 8 years. I mean, this is, in my opinion, a pretty good way to do it. So I'm not Team Trump or Team Elon. Again, I'm Team American people, but I trust our president, and I think Elon has done amazing work.
Well said. And Elon and Trump, the battle is getting even more intense, but I have a lot of respect for what Trump just tweeted. He posted this on Truth Social. He truthed it, I guess, not tweeted it. He having to switch back and forth between truth and tweet. But here's what Trump said. And this is, I think, is really grounding and does suggest that there will be a coming back together moment potentially for the bromance, which is what we all want to see. It's positive if that happens. I don't mind Elon turning against me, but he should have done so months ago. Has Trump ever had that level of niceness after someone just attacked him in such an intense way? I've never seen this before with Trump. I've never seen him be this courteous in the middle of an all-out battle, which shows you the level of respect that Trump has for Elon, maybe more so than anyone else he's ever fought with in the past. That's very telling right there. And he says, this is one of the greatest bills ever presented to Congress. It's a record cut in expenses, $1.6 trillion, and the biggest tax cut ever given. If this bill doesn't pass, there will be an 68% rather tax cut or tax increase, and things far worse than that. I didn't create this mess. I am just here to fix it. This puts our country on a path to greatness. Make America great again. See, you like to see that from Trump. You have to respect his ability to say, even though Elon's attacking me all out, I'm not going to attack him directly back. I'm just going to explain why I think the bill is good. And there are, like I mentioned in the show, we can keep reading some of these things. There are a lot of good things in the bill. So we don't want to attack Trump too hard on this. I've been very hard on him in the last few shows over the things that I can see that are clearly bad. And there are many of those things that need to be fixed. It absolutely needs to be fixed. We should be spending, in my opinion, more money on deportations than on the military. Literally. I think we should spend a higher dollar amount on deportations and on border security and ICE agents than on the entire military altogether. Or if we're going to do military budget, we should find a way to disguise a lot of that as border security measures, because you can do that in the military budget if you choose to. So there are ways to get around it, and there are ways to make this good and to do it in a way, because if we are able to have border security and deport a lot of the illegals that are here, then it's a restart. Then we're at the ground level. Then we can build off of that. That's by far the biggest priority in order to fix everything else. But that doesn't mean it's the only thing that's important. It's not even close. And all of the other things together are far outweighing of even that. And so if we look at some of the other things in the bill, we can continue reading it. Bans drag shows for kids at federally funded venues. Yeah, you love to see that. Fires the climate cult from federal boards. That one's even more important because the first one, kind of dumb anyway, only happening in super liberal places. The second one will actually have an impact. Veterans get priority housing access. I don't hate that. That's kind of a good one, even though I will say priority housing access should be for the younger people who are being screwed over the most by the system. Young veterans, maybe at the top of the list, you could say, for priority housing access. That's just my opinion. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you're young and you're trying to buy into the housing market that's been massively inflated by immigration, by mass immigration, that's been massively inflated by people using that as an investment vehicle and not just a place to live, and people buying rental houses and that causing the market to go up even more, and combining that with the dollar not being stable enough. So people want to hold that less and hold money in their homes more. All of that together has made it really hard for young people to get into the housing market. Then tax credit for buying American-made vehicles. We'll see if that stays in there, considering Tesla is arguably almost certainly going to be the biggest benefactor of that. Maybe it'll stay, maybe it won't. Stops Chinese ownership of U.S. farmland. Our soil is finally protected. Bans CRT from federal training programs. Also need to ban that from schools too, Trump. Ends taxpayer-funded abortions abroad. I can't even believe we're paying for that at all. Tax dollars should never be anywhere near something that evil. In any place, here or abroad. Gets federal diversity czars, cuts the bloated bureaucracy, guts the federal diversity czars. It says, revives the Keystone XL pipeline. Not a bad idea. Might as well take advantage of oil while it's still in fashion, because we will be switching mostly to electric cars over time because they're just better. Not because of some gay climate change reason, because electric cars are better. They're more easy to drive. You can have them drive you around. It's quieter, easier to fuel up because you can just plug it in your house. So we're going to eventually switch. That will happen, I believe, over time. So in the meantime, we should be profiting as much as we can from the oil while it's valuable. Enacts Social Security tax cuts for seniors, defends religious liberty in the workplace, restores due process on college campuses, massively expands trade school funding. That's also expensive. More budget added on. Outlaws federal funding for gender transitions for minors. Only for minors, Trump? We shouldn't be paying for gender surgeries for adults either. That's insane. But still good. Creates nationwide Patriot Curriculum Grant Fund. Should have done that the first term. Good to do it now. Halts funding for the UN's woke agenda. Arms tax breaks for adoption and large families. Increases penalties for fentanyl trafficking. That's a really good one. Life in prison for cartels. Should be in El Salvador. And the penalty, as they increase it, it should also mean that we're going into places like Mexico, like Venezuela, where these drug traffickers are at large and running these massive operations, and take down the operations. They should be bombed into oblivion until there is no ability to even produce these drugs that are killing our kids at such a large and high scale. 50, this is the last one, restores cash bail in federal jurisdictions. No more revolving door criminals. That will save a lot of lives. So if we look through those things that were all put into this big, beautiful bill, you start to realize that maybe we have been a little bit too harsh on it. Maybe we should be also praising those things as we're likewise going to be honest about the fact that we cannot sustain $2.5 trillion added to the national debt over 10 more years. That is ripping the future from our children. Now, you look at something like a tax break for overtime, and you see, as one of our producers and I had a conversation about, she worked in the medical field, and she would not want to do overtime. Also has a sister that's in the medical field as well, because you do overtime, they take 50% of your pay. They take 50% while you're doing extra and contributing more. That's not really fair, is it? And so when you take away overtime tax, that encourages people to work more overtime and then increases more human capital into the economy. That's a real increase. If you increase the number of dollars, a dollar is a piece of paper. It has no real value except for the resources it can get. So if there's more resources, it'll be easier to acquire them than it was before. Therefore, that's a really good positive part of the bill. Then a lot of people really like the no tax on tips, and in a vacuum, it seems good. But really, it should just be not a no tax on tips. And a lot of people don't pay tax on tips anyway. It should be an overall across the board decrease for everyone in the service industry in any capacity. So a chef should also get a decrease in taxes, even though they don't get tips, for example. And somebody who works in a big box store, basically just cut that entire tax bracket down a little bit. That is a positive thing to do. And do that instead of cutting it so much for the corporations, which again, if you cut for corporations, it does typically bode well as long as you've cut spending to go with it, and they're not cutting the spending, so they can't cut the corporate taxes yet. That's how I see it. And it's true. A lot of people may disagree on some of those things, but it is still true. And the reason why it's true is because we're choosing between, for example, and then we'll go into a little bit of a different topic here. We can choose between, should people get no tax on Medicaid now, which raises the cost of it by a little bit, or should we be able to provide Medicare for the younger generations? Can my children access it? Because there's not going to be any money left for them. It will be impossible for them to access those systems if we're so bankrupt and we have runaway inflation. So we can give it to them now, and that's a good thing. But if we're sacrificing giving it to our kids in order to give it to them or give them a better situation, is that worth it? If we're sacrificing our financial stability to increase military funding, is that worth it? Okay, maybe we need it. Well, we also need financial stability. So there's always gives and takes. No one is necessarily wrong with these opinions. Most of them are right. But the question is that more right than something else? And are the consequences worth it? Now that goes into the details. Now we're going to go to the commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to dive further into what is really happening here.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Gabe! Dude, Gabe, something's in the dumpster.
Whoa, what is that for?
Something's in the dumpster, man.
Well, let's use the burner. We don't want to wake the neighbors. Freeze! Stop resisting!
Stop resisting!
If you're looking for a less than lethal option for self-defense or keeping pests out of your dumpster, then check out Byrna at DCF Guns. Visit us at our 3 locations in Castle Rock or Colorado Springs, or visit us online at dcfguns.com.
Come join the DCF family today. where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter.
It was around 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and I received an email from PayPal. It showed in this email that there was a debit in my PayPal account that was going to be taken.
So we have a lot of the Trump Elon stuff pulled as part of the images and stuff for the show, but I just want to go directly to Elon's page because he's been posting 5 minutes ago. Here's another one, and now he's really taking it hard on the whole Elon Epstein Island angle. If we can pull up and put it on the screen, Trump's live feed with Elon Musk's live feed over Trump. So there's the one he just posted 5 minutes ago. In 1992, Trump partied with Jeffrey Epstein. Just going to leave this here. I mean, my God. Okay, so there's Trump. You can see the video. He is partying with Epstein. They're both rich people in New York. That's what happened. Everyone knows Trump has a good heart. Trump has always been for the people, even if sometimes he pushes the limits of that and goes too far on budgets. He's still for the people. He's a man with a good heart. And so you can see in this clip, he's with Epstein. He's shaking his hand. A lot of people have never seen this footage before. But that right there is not proof that Trump ever had any relations with underage girls, which he has not. We know that for a fact. If he did, it would have already come out a million times by now. The Biden administration would have released it. They would have played nonstop ads about it. The entire media would have covered it. He hasn't. No one's even alleged that in any serious capacity. No one's ever provided even evidence beyond the fake rape allegations from dozens of women about Trump, including the one in the department store stall, which everyone knows isn't real. All of them that have come out as being fake, and yet none of them with any amount of credibility whatsoever, even a legitimate looking story. They didn't even make the effort to try to claim he was on the Epstein list. So we know he's not. Now, there's another one. So Trump is now also being blamed for the tariffs. And Satoshi Nakamoto, aka the creator of Dogecoin, who, by the way, is a bitch. He's a bitch. He's not a good person. He's crazy. He's super full of himself. Some weirdo who lives in San Francisco and just goes around probably to gay clubs all the time, I would guess. I don't know that for a fact. That would be my guess. I've had interactions with him before. I don't like him. I think he's a bad person. Elon Musk, though, is now quote tweeting him, saying the Trump tariffs will cause a recession in the second half of the year. If you speak it into existence, it will come into existence, is another way to look at this. Because that's how the economy works. It's based on confidence in part. Can I finally say that Trump's tariffs are super stupid? No, you cannot actually, Billy Marcus, that's his real name. You cannot say that, Billy Marcus, because you don't actually know anything about politics or tariffs. You didn't even hold on to your Dogecoin after you made it and you sold it for a used car, buddy. So no, you can't weigh in. Elon Musk letting him weigh in, though. This is the Elon that, in my opinion, is a lot less fun than the other version of Elon. But I digress. What do you think about the tariffs, Apollo?
Oh, sorry, my audio's on for the audience now. Trump had posted something about, the tariffs on the Truth Social. And first of all, he was saying really simply, like, listen, guys, if the other nations can just continue to indiscriminately levy tariffs against us and we can't respond to these things, then we're economically in a really bad place. He posted this morning, shockingly, the Democrat-controlled CBO just announced that the tariffs will be reducing the deficit by $2.8 trillion. Too bad this wasn't released earlier and keep people from knowingly saying untruths. I mean, we've been so handicapped as a nation because of the tariff policies where we're basically just getting, as Trump has said, raped by all of these other countries. This is the Axios was even reporting on this. If you believe
there's
that.
A comment, the volume may be a little low on your end.
Is that? It should be good. I'm coming in pretty hot for the for the audience.
Nice. Okay,
but let me know if that's good, you guys. But I mean, I shit you not, even like Axios, CBO, Trump's tariffs would bring down deficits by trillions. Tax bill widens them. If you go to what the CBO said on the cbo.gov page, it's talking about this and says before accounting for the changes, they estimate the increase of collections of tariffs would reduce primary deficits by $2.5 trillion. Absence of effects on the economy, changes would reduce total deficits by $3 trillion altogether. So they go on. There's some, some other details in here, but of course there are going to be short to medium term effects on the economy. I mean, that's unavoidable. But again, the problem is we don't have any stable policy that is actually going to, in the long term, drive, economic activity back to the United States. We have all these problems with manufacturing. People in Detroit and Michigan know that very well as many other states. So, I mean, we're going to see volatility, which is, again, we have this, now the interest rates were not lowered. They've, done this in Europe several times recently. So, I mean, what are they doing with the interest rates? I mean, part of this should be to make sure that people have confidence in the markets. And I think a lot of this is just, more of the same attacks that we've seen over Trump's administration, blaming his policies on X, Y, and Z, when in reality, there's very distinct adjustment periods that have to happen before things stabilize. And you see massive shifts in entire sectors of industrial manufacturing, consumer goods markets, all kinds of things. This is economic warfare. And this is exactly what Trump is slapping back at to level the playing field. So, we're going to see recessions, again, depending on how you define that. But it's going to take time in order to get the United States back to any kind of position where we are not the sacred cow for the rest of the world and for Europe. So, I mean, NATO is certainly very upset about a lot of this, and that's why I think you see a lot of this nonsense with Ukraine. And again, going back to the spending bill, apart from tariffs, so much of that is, aquatic unmanned aerial vehicles, essentially for all kinds of operations, Marine Corps, Army, Navy. And we look at how important drone warfare is becoming. Look at what Ukraine just did with Russia. I mean, they took essentially consumer-grade electronics in a coordinated way, and they supposedly just whacked 35% of Russia's forces. I mean, this is not a small deal. So, I mean, the tariffs, a lot of those tariffs also are going back to steel and things that are critical to, national security and military supply chains. So, I mean, making our entire defense apparatus dependent on foreign nations for raw materials is not a good idea. And that's also included in this bill. There are pieces in there that are specifically, if you just go into the bill text and search shipbuilding, I'll actually show you for those of you who are watching. And if you just go to the bill, search for shipbuilding, and you will come up with this, for instance. And one of these sections is specifically titled Enhancements for DoD Resources for Shipbuilding. And you look at this, there's a lot of big dollar amounts on here, but we're talking about a DoD defense apparatus, and also in preparation for open war with major, world powers. Again, right here, U.S. steel plate for shipbuilding industrial base, capacity for shipbuilding industrial base, naval propellers, fabrication facility, all this, naval shipbuilding, manufacturing techniques, intelligence to naval shipbuilding. I mean, this is a big deal. These are huge sectors that are directly impacting national security and readiness when we've been materially disadvantaged and infiltrated. And again, in conjunction with the farmland around U.S. bases, that's a huge deal. These are all massive issues that have not been addressed and have been overlooked. You have this in Michigan with the Goshen plant. I mean, all over the country, you've had very critical installations where the CCP has, come up and they've bought all this farmland around it. Bill Gates and some of these foundations involved in these things that are then going to these weird green energy projects where they're giving contracts to China. And I mean, again, I understand that people are worried. And I think that there's a good likelihood that a lot of these things like the overtime cuts and, a lot of these things for retirement accounts, health savings accounts, which are, for, I think to offset some of the effects of the Affordable Care Act that, again, Obama rolled out that has destroyed people. Like you talk about people having another $300, $500, like no tax on tips. It's not just bartenders. Not every bartender is making $200,000 a year or walking out with $1,000 a night. I have a lot of experience in the service industry, but shift workers, construction workers, even kitchen workers, like overtime is huge. No tax on overtime. You mentioned that earlier, but it's a big deal. Like $500 to a lot of people in the United States, that's like, do you eat that week? Do you have groceries, or are you sitting home basically starving, trying to like survive off of oatmeal? That's like, I can buy, because I know people are affected by this personally. They're shift workers or they work in manufacturing plants. Like, cool, I can buy my child a birthday present, this year. Like $300 a month to some people is a huge deal. And a lot of these things, in addition to, offsetting some of the cost of giving all this money away for healthcare and all these things to illegals, like over time, this is going to make a huge difference to a lot of people's cost of living, especially if they have families and people who are stuck at those jobs, because it's one thing to say, oh, we'll just go get a better job. Well, okay, cool. What if you have 5 kids and they're dependent on your health insurance? That's not an easy sell. So, there are huge pieces in this that are really, really going to impact like your average American person. And, for people who are disconnected to that, they might not see how important that is. But there are people who are legitimately choosing, whether they're going to buy groceries. You see people who are like, well, yeah, that's cool. I can't afford $8 for a premium X. Those are real conversations, and the tariffs are going to be a big deal. And yes, there's going to be disruption, but the point is like long term for the stability of our nation and the ability for people to buy products that aren't dependent on, very uneven trade policies with foreign nations like China, who are getting, exploited in terms of their people too, because you're not paying people well for them to make all this cheap shit in sweatshops. There's a big deal. And, I think that over time you're going to see less of a dependence on some of these trade things. And then also it's going to allow us to have better negotiating power over what's coming through and over the border, especially in terms with the border security initiatives and funding there, which is going to help us have a better idea and ability to, stop those children from being trafficked. Those are real people who are getting sucked through our borders and then consumed for organ harvesting and sold into all kinds of slavery. So, we'll see disruption, and he's probably right, even on the timing, but what happens after that when things recalibrate?
Another thing to keep in mind is that there will be ways for employers to structure overtime so that people can pay less taxes. You could theoretically work the same amount of hours as an employee and still get more money if people are smart about how they structure it. For example, if you work more one week and then take the next week off, you could still count a lot of that as overtime, and you'd be working the same amount of hours per year, but have a much lower tax rate. So there will be some cool stuff that can be done with that. I'm a huge supporter of the no tax on overtime, and generally low taxes is a positive thing. We can all, for the most part, we should be able to all agree on that, unless you're a communist, which I don't think you are if you're watching the show. But that would be unlikely. So as we watch this conflict and we see them battling it out, you have to wonder, what does this mean though for the bill? Because what are they going to cut? Clearly, at this point, with Thomas Massie also coming out against multiple parts of the bill, Elon has built up enough support that this bill cannot get popular and be passed by the Senate, in my opinion, as it currently sits. So it has to be changed some. And what are they going to cut? And I'm worried, I'm scared that they're going to cut some of the important things Like, for example, money to ICE and money to deport and money to shore up the border. That's what I want them to cut the least. And yet, because of who Republicans are and who they have the interest of, which is oftentimes themselves first, their friends second, aka the owners of corporations and things like that, their donors. And then third, some of them may be the people if we're lucky. That's how it is for almost all of them. Thomas Massey, an exception though, at times. And we can play this game where, oh, he's against Trump, he's unpopular, we hate him. But in reality, we should listen to him. He's a smart man. He just lost his wife, by the way. So he's going through a lot. But he is a smart man who's not paid by AIPAC. That's very important to keep in mind. And he is someone who wants to see the country do better. So we'll go ahead and read this tweet. The House has a 72-hour rule, which requires the bill to be posted 72 hours before passage. But the Speaker circumvented this rule with a manager's amendment that rewrote and added substantial portions of the bill as it went through the Rules Committee the night the bill was passed. There's another House rule which requires a day to pass before voting on a bill after the Rules Committee has modified it. Would you believe the House voted to suspend that so-called same-day rule too? This means that the final language of the bill was released only a few minutes before the debate began. Would you look at that? And the vote on the rule change and the vote on the bill hollowed within a couple of hours. Elon is right. Members of Congress didn't even know what was in the bill until right after it passed at that night. A few other members have also made this clear. So he's exposing the truth about this. And what really sucks the most about this is that could have been genius. This could have been the most genius move of all time. If Trump had found a way, and he could have done it, to both balance the budget and include all of those good things, it would have been actually really easy to do. He instead said, okay, I'll do you a favor over there, military industrial complex. I'll give you your high profit margins. I'll do you a favor over there, Medicaid and medical industrial complex. I'll do a favor to some of my friends in this bill and to some of the donor class and to some of the people who are pressuring me, some of the lobbying groups. I'll do a favor to you. I'll throw that in there too. So he makes this, it is true, it's one of the best bills I've ever seen in a lot of ways. It's a big, beautiful bill. And then he says, okay, I'm going to take this big, beautiful bill and I'm going to add a bunch of additional stuff that is not needed. And I'm going to increase spending in places that it is not important right now, or at least not a priority. And then I'm going to ram it through. Imagine just, this makes me so frustrated. Because imagine if they had pulled that and they had done $200 billion for deportations, $200 billion for ICE and border security and the wall. Not spent. We do need to spend more on the military, but in my opinion, we have to take a break. We can't do it right now. We have to wait until our economy is stable, then we can spend more after that. We have to wait. We have to be patient. First, fix the economy, then we can start with the military spending, which is already really high, and we already have nukes. We're protected, but we can start doing more of that later. For now, cut that big. Have some efficiency thrown in through Elon. Elon should have done more than he did. Doge should have done more than they did. Throw all of that in there too. Put some of the social bills in there. And then do that thing where you make it pass at the last minute and it is a big, beautiful bill for real without all the additional bad stuff where it does balance the budget. Then Elon's on board. That's huge. Show Elon the respect that he deserves because he does deserve some. He's being a little bit of a, I don't want to be, I got to be careful because, you know, he owns the platform that is my primary source of business. I guess you could put it that way. Also my primary source of influence, which I like to use at times to post crazy videos and have fun, but also at times to make as positive of a change as my influence is capable of achieving. So I got to be careful with what I say, but I think he's going way too far right now. Way too far. And he's one of the only person who I hold my punches occasionally with. I do sometimes with Trump too, just out of respect for who they are as men and how much they've sacrificed. Both of them have sacrificed a lot to be where they are now. But it could have been that. And it could have passed through Congress on the first stage. The Senate is easier because it's less people. We only have a slight majority in the House. If he had done it the right way the first time, then we would have gotten it through in a way that probably wouldn't have worked. And now it's not going to work the second time because you already rammed it through the first time. So now what? Now this time you make a new bill, you try to pass it through. They're not going to let it be ratified in that way potentially. Maybe they still will. Maybe they'll pull it off somehow. But it just is very frustrating because there's so much potential here to fix the country. We could fix it. We could actually do the thing. We could do the thing that everyone wants. Everyone's been saying, fix the country, fix the national debt, fix the economy, make everything boom again. We could do the thing. Right now, we have that ability. Deport the illegals, which are on average a drain of negative 200,000 over their lifetimes, as are their ancestors or their offspring, whatever it's called. That's what it is. That's how this is being laid out. And so we just have to take a moment of silence to say RIP to what was the most perfect, beautiful opportunity ever for the big, beautiful bill. That's what makes me the most mad. That's what makes me be the most frustrated. Is not that Trump made a bad bill. It's that he made an incredible bill, but then ruined it by including stuff that he shouldn't have. And he knew better, but he thought, oh, whatever, I'm going to get it through. I'm going to get everything I want. You can't get everything you want when you're $36 trillion in debt. You just can't. We can't get everything we want forever because we're stealing it every time we get more debt from the future. You're stealing that from my children. You're taking money and resources and the quality of life away from my children to give it to someone else. That's what you are doing by adding this extra stuff in there. So, maybe there's still hope. Maybe Elon and Trump will have a big, beautiful bromance reunion somehow, which they've already attacked each other viciously before and then had the bromance reunion again. So it wouldn't be the first time. It would be the second time. And maybe they'll find a way to do what we're saying. Maybe they will be able to increase the budget for deportations and for the wall and for border security. Maybe we'll get lucky and it'll happen, but you lose confidence in the entire system on days like this. You lose confidence in hoping that it will ever get fixed when we see days like this. Now so we just had another thing posted in the chat. Let me take a look at this. Okay, so now that's hilarious. Okay, so we now have Jared sending in, release the Epstein files now from Eric Swalwell. Harry Sisson says it's time for the Epstein files to be released. Given what Elon Musk said about Trump, whatever the DOJ wants to do, killed the bill and release the Epstein files from the Democrats. All right. Okay, guys. Okay. Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, I still want to release the Epstein client list, by the way. So I appreciate that. Isn't that that's what you predicted, Apollo? Now it's happening. That is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, look at that. Here, I'll put it up so everybody can see this. Oh, God, how beautiful. Eric Swalwell, release the Epstein. Harry Sisson, there you go. Release the Epstein files. Democrats, kill the bill and release the Epstein files. Watch, everyone just for your own amusement, go on X and start searching for release the Epstein files. I think it'll be entertaining.
And here's a picture that says, we could put it up on the screen. It's in the chat, Paul. I bought this after Elon went to war with Trump. So now the liberals who have the sticker that says, I bought this before Elon joined the Trump administration. Now you cover that sticker up with, I bought this after Elon went nuclear mode on Trump. It's that. and why this is especially beautiful is because Trump can't serve as president again. So it's not like this doesn't really, none of this really matters. It only matters from the perspective of Trump's popularity now, but it's not going to affect long-term anything serious. It may make it more likely for Thomas Massie to be the nominee, which I wouldn't hate. He's a good choice. You can hate him, love him if you want. There, by the way, was the picture. You can see it there. It's pretty funny. So they cover it up on their Tesla. I bought this after Elon went after Trump. Welcome to the show, guys. Welcome to America in 2025. Welcome to the political system. It can't get any better, I don't think, from an entertainment standpoint. It just cannot get better. It's only downhill from here. We'll never have a more entertaining political year ever again than this one. Now there's also a Grok link that we have with arguments for the bill. I believe we already played through some of that. But if you want to put up B2, here's some of the reasons why people are stoked about this bill. Let's go through some of the good things that the bill contains. So we have Grok able to analyze it for us, as well as multiple other AI systems you can use, which is nice. So we took the liberty of doing the Grok conversation. Here's a concise argument for why supporters back the one big beautiful bill based on key provisions and stakeholder endorsements limited to 20 bullet points. Historic tax cuts. Delivers the largest tax cut in U.S. history, putting an estimated $5,000 back in Americans' pockets with double-digit tax reduction. No tax on tips or overtime, permanent Trump tax cuts, border security investment, 10,000 ICE officers is not nearly as much as I would like to see, but that's really good. And so Grok basically did the analysis and said, all right, we don't need to be too mean to the bill. We can be mean to it. We don't need to be too mean to the bill. Now, there's also Marjorie Taylor Greene getting a little bit of a confirmation that she's not as worthy of criticism from Thomas Massey's tweet as maybe we thought she was from her tweet where she said she didn't read the bill. Well, now we know none of them did. None of them read it. None of them could read it. You could read the initial version of it, but you couldn't read any of the amendments unless you wanted to speed read hundreds of pages within 3 minutes, which isn't possible. Even AI is probably going to take longer for you to download the PDF, load it into a format that Grok can analyze, and then run it through the system, and then read the analysis from Grok. That takes longer than 3 minutes. You can't even use AI. So you're screwed. There's no way to know. Again, why that sucks so much is because I would love to do a no way they can know, but the bill actually is as beautiful as it's claimed to be. I would love to use that loophole where they can not have anyone be able to read it, but the bill doesn't need to be read by Congress because it's already perfect. It's already as good as it can be. It's already incredible. It doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be really, really good. And now it's only slightly good with a lot of bad stuff in there. Now, Trump is also coming out about Ukraine and Russia and explaining his thoughts on it, revealing the, quote, truth. If we want to go ahead and play C1, this is Trump coming out and weighing in on something that doesn't have anything to do with the big, beautiful bill. So we'll use this as an opportunity to stop talking about it for a minute or two.
There's some additional fighting that's going to go on. You know, he attacked and they attacked pretty harshly. They went deep into Russia. And he actually told me, I mean, I made it very clear. He said, we have no choice but to attack based on that. And it's probably not going to be pretty. I don't like it. I said, don't do it. You shouldn't do it. You should stop it. But again, there's a lot of hate.
You should stop it. There's a lot of hate, but you should stop it now. Stop the fighting. Stop the killing of thousands of innocent people. Why do we have to have the bombs being dropped on cities? And like Apollo mentioned earlier, they were able to take out a significant portion of the Russian military. We saw some of the footage where they were dropping basically drone attacks on a huge fleet of Russian planes, especially, but other equipment as well. And it made it look a little bit too easy to take out this expensive equipment. And that is another thing that sucks, is that we spend all this money as human beings on building military equipment, and then before it even gets used, we just destroy it. I mean, how insane is that? So, okay, if we look at it from the basic level, so we mine all of the metal, we build a huge factory, we mine all the other materials, we create the plastics, we create all of the technology, the computers, we build all of that, we put it all in a big system, we spend thousands of man hours putting together this craft, and then without even ever being really used in any real capacity, someone else just comes and bombs it and destroys it.
Well, again, these are like essentially consumer grade. Remember, this is how this stuff is really like changing the game, including in legitimate warfare. We also have to, I think, consider, okay, so Ukraine, brought in all of these drones and then wiped out this like massive, portion of of Russia's fleet, right? So, I mean, who's Ukraine? So, like, is that the headline that the CIA and like rogue elements in the intelligence community or bad actors in the American military-industrial complex just like took a huge swipe at Russia in order to, cause a provocation in order to drag us into war? Because that's what it sounds like to me. Are we really like the people they've been throwing like mentally ill elderly people on the front line so that they could go get slaughtered to pretend that they have an actual, war that they're fighting with our taxpayer dollars while they're like selling off our military equipment that we gave them for aid and trafficking people over there and, hiding all their slush money that the former administrations and all their cronies have been using and then funneling it back to the politicians. Like, so they just managed over the course of a year to, amass and execute this well-targeted drone strike against, Russian military targets. I mean, like that's to me what the headline says is the CIA and, our bad actors took a hit at Russia in order to cause war and drag us into some shit. So I'm really glad that President Trump is in office because, then we'd be dealing with all kinds of bad NATO problems and probably much worse things, again, with a military that has been strategically decimated over the last, few decades. I mean, that's like kind of the important part that I don't see really being mentioned much in all of this. Like who actually did that? Those are, again, like geopolitically and in terms of warfare, that's a big deal.
The mentally ill, the prisoners, even in some cases, people who they just don't like, maybe even political opponents. That's who they decide to throw on the front lines. Russia doing it more so than Ukraine. That's why Russia has not been using their full force, even close to it, because they kind of actually like this. It's evil, but they have the ability to systematically take the life of people without it looking bad. It does still look bad, but for the average person, you see that, it's a war that's somewhat justifiable. And they don't go into the detail. No one else will ever know really the extent of how much they have. And that's one of the reasons why Russia has lost so many of the quote unquote battles is because they're sending people who have mental issues. They're sending people who aren't well trained. They're not sending even their best soldiers. And they can, and they have at times. But it's all fake. It's all fake and gay, and it's all designed, like you said, Apollo, to rewire that money back to the politicians. It's designed so that they can be buying yachts as Ukrainian oligarchs, so that Zelensky will be a billionaire, most likely after all of this is done, may already be, or at least worth hundreds of millions of dollars, be able to live in a mansion in the United States. That's what's coming next. That's what's going to happen. He's going to have a luxury lifestyle and enjoy all of the fruits of having millions of his own people put at risk, put into extreme situations, and hundreds of thousands of his own people being killed systematically, including kidnapped in vans, wearing hoods, and forced to go to the front lines to fight. Less so with Ukraine is to focus on getting rid of, quote unquote, their undesirables, which every human being is a human being. That's a human being with a soul. So it's evil. But it's not about that for Ukraine. They're sending their best and trying to legitimately stop this. And then you combine that with also now, so they're running out of people. They're using rudimentary resources in the war now, despite getting billions of dollars in aid. All of it points to how evil and corrupt everything is. And Trump needs to do even more, in my opinion, about it. He needs to do way more than he is doing. That's another criticism that I'll levy against Trump right now, is that as much as we can trust him, we also have to be critical of him in order to get the best out of him. Maybe more so than any other politician, Trump does respond well. If enough people are saying something, even if it's negative, he'll respond in a positive way oftentimes. That's why we love him. That's why we want to see Trump in office. That's why he's a way better choice than Kamala Harris would have ever even dreamed of being way better than Biden. It's not even close. It's not even close to close. It's so unbelievably unclose. Now, I just checked. We have not seen another Trump tweet. Maybe they got on the phone. I wouldn't be surprised if they got on the phone after what happened. They're probably on the phone right now. They've probably been talking for the last 30 minutes. Elon clearly has Trump's attention now that he's doing the Epstein stuff. That's a whole nother level. And maybe Trump also is getting ready to fire even harder at Elon, because that can be done as well. If Elon wants to pretend like Trump's on the Epstein list, Elon can pretend like, or Trump can rather pretend like Elon Musk was involved in some of the evil operations that were done to fund wars through his SpaceX, whatever. He could say anything. So we'll see if this ratchets up, but I wouldn't be surprised based on the fact that Elon has not posted or replied to a tweet in now 39 minutes, and Trump has not posted or replied in, at this point, over an hour and 20 minutes. And in the middle of this heated thing, for Trump not to be going even further suggests that they are right now talking. That's what I think is happening. And so maybe tomorrow we'll have a more beautiful update, and maybe Trump and Elon will turn this into a positive thing. Maybe they're saying, Elon, I didn't like that you called me an Epstein client lister, but at the end of the day, all right, we can make the bill even better, even more beautiful. We can take out some of the additional spending, level the debt. And if that happens, that's the perfect scenario. That's what I hope. And then everyone will be confirmed in our suspicions. Is this all fake? I actually kind of hope so. I hope it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it's fake. Maybe it'll all be better tomorrow. So we'll go ahead and end the show with a prayer. A prayer for our country, a prayer that things start to get better. Dear Lord, it's so clear that there has really never been a time when it's more important in our country for the right policies to be in place, where it's more important to avoid suffering, to avoid problems, to avoid everyone going to a place where there's going to be a civil war of some kind potentially, or when there's going to be a World War III that breaks out. In order for us to have the right path, help us to see clearly what actions to take now. Help us to see clearly what the best path is. And those with positions of great power, Trump, Elon, guide them in the right direction. Allow Elon to open his heart to you and see who God is, who you are. Allow Elon and Trump to come together and help the country and heal the hearts of those in Congress who are so hell-bent on destroying us, or are so hell-bent on enriching themselves and don't care. Or just don't care enough, whatever the reason may be. Help them to open their hearts and see clearly the damage they are doing. Awaken in them a spirit that allows the good policies to come forward. As little as we are on earth, as much as none of this really matters in the grand scheme of things, it feels important to us. And it is important right now. And earth isn't just here. It can't be here for nothing. We're here for a reason. We have to be able to turn earth. I want to turn it into something awesome. And if help us, God, to do that. Help us to make earth a better place that is more Christian, that is more beautiful, where our kids can be happy and where we can enjoy the time that we have here. Amen. With that said, if you want to watch on Spotify, if you want to listen to us on Apple Podcasts, you can do that. You can do that anytime you want. If you already use those platforms, feel free to listen to us there. If you like pressing like, then you can like the like button, like right now. If that like sounds good, like to you, like now, then you can do that. You can also subscribe if you're watching for the first time. We are every day here at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Unfortunately, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, Joe Altman currently in court battling against giants. I'll be posting soon on X. You can retweet it, like it, whatever you want to do. An article that goes into detail about who is really funding this. Why is this really happening? Who is going against Joe and Mike? in this Coomer case? What are they trying to cover up? And why are they willing to spend so much money to do it? Very important stuff. All of that today on X. So you see what I did there? Made it sound like all of that today on Untamed, but we're actually ending the show. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.